Kevin Herter to get it in. Everyone standing at State Farm Arena. Herter looks, plays it into Trey. 2 seconds, one. Trey's floater. Good! With .1, and the Hawks are gonna win this game.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
You are now listening to the Hawksbeat podcast with your host, E-Dub. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Welcome to the Hawksbeat podcast, season 7, episode 2, opening night for the Atlanta Hawks. Come on in. 124 to 104. We are going to recap the game. Sit back and relax. We're going to go through the whole thing. I'm your host, E-Dub. Welcome into the Hawksbeat podcast, man. We're so glad that you decided to come in and sit back and relax and listen to us talk some Hawks basketball. 124 to 104. And to be honest with you, that score is not even reflective of how much a bludgeoning, a massacre this game was, man. Trey had a night, man. We're going to talk about his 37 points and 7 assists in just a brief moment. Let me get rid of some of this housekeeping, man. A large part of what we do is on the social media front. So whether you're listening to this on the podcast or via YouTube or whatever, what helps us out is if you follow us on our social media, if you subscribe to our YouTube, if you rank us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts now. But those things really help us out. So make sure you check with us, connect with us, and we're always appreciative of the retweets and the reshares. So I think we got that out the way, man. So let me run down and show what we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get into it, man. So I want to play a little bit of post-game sound. Not too much. I don't want to sound bite y'all to death, but I want to give you guys some sound. I got some sound from Coach Pierce after the game. I got some sound from Trey Young after the game. So I want to play a couple of those clips. We're gonna revisit the keys. I didn't do a pregame show, but I did list some keys to the game. So we're gonna revisit the keys to the game, and a staple that's going to be on the podcast this year is going to be our two I don't even know what you call them. So we have a segment that's going to be called Fab Five, in which I lay out the best 5 players for the Hawks that night. We have a segment called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's kind of self-explanatory. Then I'm going to give you my player of the game. So of course, we kind of understand who that's going to be. But we're going to get into all those things, man. But before we do, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy E-Dub for the Hawksbeat podcast. When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all those apps that people listen to? Most importantly, how do I make money from my podcast? The answer to all of these questions is simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-step shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. Now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing by reading this ad. Look, guys, I have over 10 years of podcast experience, and Anchor is by far the easiest platform I've ever used. So, if you want to get started using Anchor and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hawksbeat podcast, season 7, episode 2, recapping the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls. I want to play a little post-game sound from Lloyd Pierce, and we have some sound from Trae Young. So I want to play some of those clips, and then I'll talk about what they had to say.
How hard is it, or is it hard at all, to not get the guys and yourself to overreact to one game? Obviously, you guys were up by 40 at one point, and there was a blowout. Is it hard to, not get these guys too excited?
I recall you asking me a question after our second game last year when we were 2-0, and I told you we got a long season. We all
Same
know
thing.
kind of what happened after that. It's everything. You're going to see teams get off to hot starts. You're going to see teams kind of struggle out the gate. You're going to see some of the unusual things that I think are going to happen this year. We saw a postponement already. We have to respect, I'm going to keep saying, we have to respect this game. We have to come in and we got practice tomorrow. We got to get in some work. We're off on Christmas and flying, and then we got a team in Memphis that, has always given us a hard time. So respect is at the top of the list. Work is right next to it. If we're respecting this game, we're going to continue to work. If we continue to work, I think we'll be fine.
I guess performances you've really seen Trae put together, start to finish?
Yeah, I thought that, the biggest thing, I can count the 3 blunders on my hand that I thought, and when you're starting to criticize a guy on 3 kind of iffy plays, I think he's managing and controlling and playing efficient basketball, and that was really the key tonight.
All right, so that was some sound from Lloyd. I thought it was very interesting of him just giving perspective. And it's always fun with that first win, right? It's always fun with the first win. You see all these tweets. Hawks are going 72-0. And those are always fun. But you have to offer some perspective. And the NBA season is a long grind, even if it's 72 games. Putting some perspective. Look, man, Trae's not going to be shooting like this every night. It's not going to be like this every night. There's going to be nights where folks are going to be like, what is Lloyd doing? He's got to be fired. So let's take this one and enjoy it for what it is. And let's just put some perspective on it. And I think that it was very interesting what he had to say about Trae, about him just having fun. And to me, Trae's always just had fun. But to me, this is something that Renee Montgomery pointed out in the post game, and I think Renee does a great job. I think she did a great job tonight for her first broadcast with the Hawks. Trae didn't seem to have to work like a dog like he did last year. And last year, man, Trae put up numbers, but he just seemed like he was just working like a dog. He seemed like he was really within himself. He seemed like he wasn't pressing. And his numbers were just, they were through the roof. You've seen the stat line. But to me, I think that Trae just really was comfortable with who he was tonight. He gave Kobe quite the blues. But let's hear a little bit of sound from Trae about what he had to say after the game.
Tonight, when do you realize that you just have it? Is it during warm-ups, or is it like your first shot? Like, when do you realize, like, all right, it's going to be one of those nights?
I usually feel that way every night walking to a gym. I always feel like I'm going to have it that night. Not every night is like that. But every night I come in with the same confidence, same excitement. I always feel like I had every night just because of the way I prepared and the way I worked. So I always feel like I'm going to have a good night. It doesn't always happen like that, but like I said, I always feel like I do.
You obviously know a lot of people in your 2 seasons have said your stats are empty. You had 37 on 12 field goal attempts tonight. What do you think you proved to those people who have thrown out that narrative in those 2 seasons?
It's one game. My stats have never been empty. Even though they've lost, even though we've lost games, they've all come with effort. They all come with passion and trying to win the game. So for me, they've never been empty stats. And once we continue to win and everything goes the way we plan with hard work, everybody will see it's the same way I feel.
I like that one. Trey pushing back a little bit, like, hey, player, wait a minute. These stats ain't never been empty, man. Ain't never been empty, man. I'll go out there and I play hard every night. So I thought that was great perspective on him just talking about, his stats and everything, and just all eyes are on him. All eyes on him this year about, hey, you got to produce a winner. You got to produce a winner. And tonight they got off to a great start. So again, Hawks win 102-104. I didn't do a pregame this week. Tonight. But I did tweet out, and if you're on Twitter, make sure start what you're doing right now. Start what you're doing right now. And follow the Hawksbeat. Well, not the Hawksbeat. Just follow Hawksbeat. It's all one word. Just at Hawksbeat. Go to our Twitter. We usually live tweet every game. Sometimes we'll go live there. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Periscope. What have you. But I tweeted out kind of a little, well, not really a manifesto, but just tweeted out some keys to the game. And this was before the game. And we'll just kind of examine what I thought, or how the Hawks handled these keys. The first thing I said was to strike quick, to strike fast. I said the starters have to come out sharp and not dig an early hole. Now, they responded in that first quarter, 42-29. Starters came out and they looked amazing. Like, they looked really good. And that's not going to be the case every night. You're not going to have 5 guys hitting on all 5 cylinders every night. That's just not going to be the case. But that was the case tonight, man. Like, I can't name a weak link in that starting 5. Everybody was doing what they had to do. Trey was leading. John and Gallo were, making plays. I thought Cam looked really good. I thought Cam was probably the second best player in the court in that first half. DeAndre looked strong. I thought that everybody looked good. So they definitely started fast, and I thought that was very important coming into this game. My second key was, I think the Hawks. What did I put? Let me read it, because I don't want to mess it up. If the Hawks are going to win, I had 20-10. If the Hawks are to win, 20-10 from John could be a big part of the winning recipe. So I said, John, I need you to get 20-10 from me, my guy. I need you to dominate down low, since there was no Clint Capella. John had a good stat line. He only played 18 minutes, which is kind of weird. Like, I kind of thought that he played a little bit more. I would have liked to see him get around 25 or so. But look, man, it's a blowout. I'm not going to bang Lloyd. I'm not playing John Collins more minutes in a blowout. He scored 14 points in 18 minutes. So it was good. He grabbed about 4 boards. Maybe could have been stronger there. But look, man, I'm not going to bust him on anything. I thought John was dominant. I thought that he made plays. That's what I want to see. You want max money? We're going to hold you accountable, sir. We're going to hold you accountable, and we want you to make plays. And, I think in the end, man, this thing is really going to work out for John. I think it's really going to work out for John. The third key that I had before the game was this. Play defense with a chip. Hawks had the worst D in the league last year. This isn't an opinion. This is a statistical fact. The Hawks need to take all of those inability to play defense storylines and use it as motivation and take some pride about their defense. Now, look, let me tell you something. You're going to have better defensive numbers when you start Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. Period. Period. And those guys are still learning the NBA game, but those are 2 really good defenders. I thought Cam was really good tonight again. I thought DeAndre was good tonight. But when you have that starting 5, and I looked up last year's starting 5 and the game they played last year just for some reference. And the starting 5 that they tried out last year on opening night was, well, I won't go into that, but let's just say it's better this year. It's better this year. So, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take another quick little break here from another one of our sponsors. And on the other side of the break, man, we're going to go into the Fab 5, the player of the game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're listening to the Hawksbeat podcast with your man, E-Dub. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on all of our social medias. This segment is brought to us by Tillman's Trinkets and Things. Custom jewelry shipped quickly to your doorstep. Every piece will be uniquely yours. You can get the Tillman's Trinkets and Things from our website, thehawksbeat.com. Just click on their banner, Tillman's Trinkets and Things. Shout out to our guy Jonathan. He's done great work. He's made pieces for my daughter, for my son, for myself. Check out the folks over at Tillman's Trinkets and Things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You're listening to the Hawksbeat podcast, season 7, episode 2, the recap of the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls. One segment that we are going to do this year is called the Fab Five, and this is just a segment in which I give you, as I get the text message, as you can hear my text messages coming in. Shout out to my homegirl Jamila J. good follow if you're on Hawks Twitter. I'm sure you're probably already following her. So Hawks win 124-104. And the 5-5 segment is simply this. I'm going to give you the best 5 players of the game. And it's not always going to be the starters. It may be, whatever, But for tonight, the Fab Five for the Atlanta Hawks are the starters. And again, it's not going to be like this all season long. It's really not, I promise you. Just knowing how a season goes and how players have good games, bad games, guys stepping up from the bench, this is a deeper team. I will offer this caveat. Hold on, let me just tell you how the starters did. So just to get that out the way. Leading the charge, of course, Trae Young, 37 points, 7 assists, on 10 of 12 shooting, 5 for 6 from beyond the arc, 12 for 14 beyond the free throw line. Like, I don't know. And this is, I don't know if this is hyperbole, but I don't know if I've seen a more efficient Trae Young. Like, my gosh, man, like 10 of 12 and you scored 37 points. So Trae was just amazing tonight. Cam Reddish got the start. Cam has a huge fan base. Cam is really beloved, and there's reason for that. This boy has talent. This boy has he's got all of the tools, man. 15 points, 6 rebounds. Thought he was aggressive, and that's what I want to see. I never want to see passive Cam. Get in there, take it to the hole, take that shot, even if you miss it. And that's what I'm starting to see with him and DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter had 11 points, but he was a team high plus 40. 5 or 6 from the field, knocked down the only 3 he took. I thought he was good defensively. If there was a caveat, maybe he was the weakest starter, but that is that's no knock on him. Thought he played a really strong game, looked like a vet. John Collins and Gallinari, 13 and 14 points respectively. John with 14 and 4, Gallinari with 13 and 4. And the thing with John and Gallinari, they play so well off of each other. The spacing is a lot better offensively when you got a guy like Gallo who can stretch the defense. Stretch the defense because he can stay at the top of the key and just kind of bark, guys into the right positions. And you got John diving to the goal. It's a lot of things happening there. But I thought that those 5 were the best 5. But here's my caveat. If there was a 5B, I got to give it to my guy Bogey. 15 points, 7 rebounds. I thought he really stabilized that second unit, him and Kevin Huerter in the backcourt together. A lot of people had some issues about the Hawks not having a true point guard ready tonight, but Bogey really showed that he can come in and be offense and be some stability. And we've talked at length. About Trae last year. Whenever he go out the game, it was just a train wreck. And we didn't have that. It was nice to see Trae on the bench getting some rest. It was nice to see him rest and not just have to scratch and claw and play 38 minutes and jack up 40 shots. It was nice to give the guy a rest. And so if there is a 5B, I'm not going to have a 5B on most nights, but if there is a 5B, I'm going to give it to my guy Bogey tonight, man. So shout out to him on his regular season NBA debut. So that is the Fab 5. That is how I see it. All right, next up, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, this term is kind of relative, and sometimes I'll probably have to be really creative on this, but the good, bad, and the ugly is really self-explanatory. You have your good, you have your bad, and you have your ugly. So, for the good tonight, I'll say this, and it's not necessarily what you think it's going to be. The good for tonight is I'm gonna go with the bench. Yes, Trae Young was amazing. He was magnificent. He was efficient. He was a killer. He's everything that you want in your superstar tonight. But I'm going to go a different route, and I'm going to say the play of the bench was the good tonight. Bogdanovich, 15. Herter with 11. I thought that those guys really stabilized that second unit. And again, it was nice to see Trae Young be able to get some rest. And I think that that's going to be big on most nights is your depth. Whether you have Bowie coming off the bench, whether you have Cam coming off the bench, whether you have DeAndre coming off the bench, that second unit is going to be critical all season long, because I think one of the things that the Hawks did with gathering all of these gathering this new talent is on most nights they're just going to be deeper than the other team. So I thought tonight the bench was good. I thought they stabilized the court and stabilized the flow while Trae was out. The bad is this. And I've been kind of thinking about this. The bad is Clint Capella being out. And I'm going to tell you why this. I'm not sounding the alarm, but this is kind of giving me a little bit of pause. The reason being, when you look at big men and they start having nagging injuries, they typically don't get more healthy. Like, is that a word, more healthy? They typically don't get more healthy. So missing Clint Capella kind of concerns me. Also, with the idea of, with John Collins, his situation might be in flux. So if the idea, and this is all kind of just purely just speculation and just thinking. So in the idea that maybe if you let John Collins go and you invest into Capella, but Capella's dealing with injury. Like, do you see where I'm going here? So I'm not concerned, but it just kind of brought me a little bit of pause, and I really didn't like the fact that he didn't play tonight. I understand. Look, man, this is a 72-game season. Don't run your dogs out there if you don't have to. And this was a game against the Bulls that they definitely should have won anyway. So, but yeah, that was my bad for tonight. The ugly. The ugly. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. And this is a guy that I really like, a guy that I'm high on, a guy that I did a lot of draft stuff on last year. But the ugly for me is Kobe White. Oh my gosh. Not only did you get a mouthful from Trae Young, but you had a bad shooting night. 2 for 11, 1 for 7 from 3. It just wasn't your night, my guy. And it's okay that it's not your night. Like, it's okay that it's not your night. But oh boy. Oh boy. It was a bad night for you, Mr. White. So you definitely get the ugly part tonight. But keep this in mind that I really like the Kobe White kid, and I think he's going to have a great NBA career. He has a great attitude, plays hard. Second year guy, he's gonna have better nights. So that is my good, my bad, and my ugly. I've already given you the Fab Five, and the last part is the player of the game. So right now, the player of the game is kind of more of just a formality. Of course, player of the game is one Mr. Trae Young. Listen, the boy had 37 points in 26 minutes, 10 to 12 shooting, 5 of 6 from behind the arc, 12 of 14 free throws, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. The boy had a night, and of course, he is our player of the game. So good win for the Hawks. Good way to start things off. Again, you can't go 72-0 if you're not 1-0. So, as the Hawks continue on this 72-0 journey, just my final thoughts tonight, man. It was good to seeing the Hawks have fun out there and play some winning basketball. And again, it's not going to be like this every single night, but with better players, it makes a world of a difference, man. It's a world of a difference when you don't have guys who know they're not going to be down here and they're just they're just an expiring contract. No, these guys are here and they're here to win. They're here to win. This was a game against a Bulls team that you had to win. To me, it was a must win. Like, look, listen. If we say that this is a playoff team, you're going to have to beat the teams that you should beat. This is the game that you should have won. You have more talent than the Bulls. The Bulls are clearly still a rebuilding team. You should have won this game. You have a tougher game against Memphis next. This is on Saturday, so we'll probably do a preview show for that leading up to that game. And, of course, we'll do a post-game after that game as well. So I want to thank you guys for checking out the Hawksbeat podcast. Make sure that if you're listening to this, reshare the YouTube, reshare the audio podcast. And we appreciate you guys for checking us out. We appreciate all your support. Give us some feedback in the comments, on the Twitters, wherever you're listening to. We really appreciate you guys. Make sure you're staying safe out there. Make sure you're wearing your mask. You're doing everything that you can to keep away from this nasty, nasty virus. And we're going to get through this thing one day at a time, I promise you. And like we always say, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. And if you don't know him, you need to get to know him and show him some love, because that is all he is showing you. LOVE, love. Peace. We out.
Freebeats.io. Freebeats.io.